Hi, my name is Walt Farchman, Product Manager for the new eDAQXR. In this short video, I just want to show how to upgrade your eDAQ to the eDAQXR. So first thing, we made some assumptions here. So I have some eDAQ layers here. I have the interface layer for the eDAQXR, and I also have the processor layer with the lid already applied. Some assumptions. The processor on the eDAQ has already been removed, so if we zoom in now on the hardware, I want to just show that the processor is removed. A base plate is just bolted to your signal conditioning layers. In some cases, you'll be able to remove the processors by removing the screws on the bottom, but in some instances, depending on the hardware you have, you'll have to take off every layer, get the processor off, and then reapply the layers. Remember, to your address jumpers will still apply with the legacy eDAQ layers. The other thing, before you remove your processor, don't forget to confirm that you have the latest firmware loaded on all your eDAQ layers. Okay, so when you add a layer, I'm going to remove this layer here real quick. Use a little screwdriver here. So here's the bus connectors that when you're trying to match boards, some of you, this is all old hat, but for those who have not added layers back onto an eDAQ, there's two bus connectors here. There's a row of 3 and a row of 2, and I've removed the back plate from this layer because you want to make sure you can visually see these connectors. Turning this around, I don't know how far the zoom is, but you'll want to notice these connections are mating appropriately with this bus here, because if you don't, bad things can happen. So that's why I encourage people to remove this back plate so they can visually see it, and then line up. Of course, if I was on the other side, I'd see it better, but I'm just doing it by feel here. And then, plug your layers in. I'm going to turn it around so I can actually see it. So there, plugged in. Once you have that plugged in, and you notice everything's aligned right, I would encourage you to put your back plate back on with the Phillips screws and the 4 Phillips screws, and then apply the screws holding the layer down. That'll compress the gasket material. Using the, you already have these, but a 40 millimeter, 2 millimeter screw, metric screw, alternating as you go down, so that you're not running into the screws from the previous board. Okay, once you've done that, you now have the system bolted on. We'll just remove this for now. This is the interface layer that will talk to the legacy bus of the eDAQ as well as the new bus for the eDAQXR. This is pretty simple because there's not 2 connectors here that will teeter. They're fixed. So here it's as simple as aligning them up, making sure you can kind of feel it, and it sets in place. And then you put your screws in just like before. I'm not going to put the screws in right now, but again, alternating in these 6 places to hold this down. Maybe a little bit trickier is adding the new processor. There's an indexing pin, and I don't know if the video can pick up on this small pin in the back right here. There's a pin here that will align and help you align this. It'll mate up with the hole in the base unit. These are your power, and this is your data bus. The power is a robust connector which you can use for an alignment on the front right. So you best thing, guess, you can start feeling the pins, and then once you start pushing down, you can index this back little there, drops in, and then you just push down. The eDAQXR can be added with screws externally. There's 8 screws, and hold that down. And at that point, you're pretty much ready to go. Plug it in. The unit is either DHCP or static IP address. Communicate, it should see all your eDAQ layers, and then there'll be more videos on the software.